Sometimes they are, and sometimes they're not. Welcome to this episode of Am I the Asshole? Our first one is from Beginning Date 1924. Am I the asshole for rejecting the worst name ever for our offspring? So, my husband, 38 male, and I, 36 female, are expecting our first child, a bouncing baby girl, due in a few months. We were both over the moon when we found out the gender, but now things have gotten complicated, to say the least. See, when we first started talking about names, the boy name was immediately decided. Stuart Jr., after my husband. No problem there. It's a classic name and carries family meaning. But for a girl, things got murky. My husband suggested Stuarta. No, you're not having a stroke. Apparently his logic is that since Stuart ends in T, we can just add an A to make it feminine. I tried explaining why that doesn't quite work, how it sounds more like a furniture brand than a human name, how she'd endlessly be correcting people and explaining its origin. He's adamant though, says it honors him while giving our daughter a unique name. I've suggested alternatives, feminine names that maybe share a similar sound or meaning to Stuart, names he's mentioned liking in the past, even just going back to the drawing board entirely, but he's fixated on Stuarta. Now, I love my husband dearly, and I understand wanting to honor family, but I can't imagine subjecting our daughter to a lifetime of awkward stares and endless questions about her unusual name. I also worry about potential bullying and the impact it could have on her self-esteem. So, Reddit, am I the jerk for refusing to budge on Stuarta? Is there any compromise I haven't considered? Help a soon-to-be mama out. If I'm being blunt about it, that's a really weird name, and on top of the fact that just adding an A, it just seems like somebody wants to feed their ego rather than think about what would be best for their child in the long run. To me, you're definitely not the asshole, and I really hope you guys can come up with a name you both like. This next one is by Cantaloupe Life 7504. Am I the asshole for not deplaning with my husband after he was kicked off for being too drunk? I, 28 female, recently married my husband Adam, 30 male. We are the same ethnicity and both speak our language. However, I am more fluent as I go to our home country more often as my extended family are there, and it was just my parents, me, and my sisters here. Adam's grandparents are the ones who came to our country first, so he has most of his family here, and we see them more often, so I am close with his family. My parents are divorced, and around the time I started dating Adam, my dad moved back to our home country. I regularly call him, but since he moved, he has come to see me twice and then was at my wedding. My dad disapproves of Adam, and I have had fights with Adam in the past about how I feel I have made more of an effort with his family, and he hasn't done the same for me. Both my parents speak our home language, and when we started dating, Adam wasn't conversationally fluent, so there was a barrier to them initially bonding. And it was more apparent when my dad came to stay with us, but in the lead up to the wedding, my dad stayed with us and it went fine. I've been planning a trip to my home country to surprise my dad and asked Adam to come as well. He agreed, then balked when I said we were going to stay with my dad, and made what I thought was a joke about having a drink before meeting him. I didn't find it funny, and Adam later apologized. However, yesterday was our flight, and I was coming to the airport after work, so Adam went early with our suitcases to check in, and we were meant to meet up later. He was drunk, and the flight attendant wouldn't let him on the plane. I called my brother-in-law who could take care of Adam, and left my brother-in-law's phone number with the attendant taking care of Adam, and I stayed on my flight. My home country is far, so tickets are expensive, and I took leave off from work for the trip, so I don't get off with Adam. Adam is now upset with me, saying I left him in a situation where he was drunk, and if roles were reversed, he would have never left me alone when I was drunk, but I don't think that is fair. Considering you took time off work, I'm not sure if that's paid or unpaid time, but it's time off of work regardless, and you spent the money to get the tickets to be able to go, He made a conscious decision to drink. Anybody who's anybody knows that if you go into an airport and you're drunk, they're most likely not going to let you board the plane. He made his choice and you made yours. You're not the asshole, he is. And our final one is from TheoryFar7. Am I the asshole for telling my uncle and his son to go F themselves? I, 24 male, was at a family function with quite a few family members for religious reasons. Now, my uncle is very religious and thinks he's the most important one in the room. He pushes his personal views on everyone, and he has a bad habit of doing this at the dinner table. My little brother, 16, is a very quiet and serious person and doesn't really like to involve himself with my uncle. Neither do I. As soon as dinner starts, my uncle starts going off at my brother for dating and not being religious. My brother doesn't really care and ignores him usually, and I do too. FYI, my uncle loves tea and would force us to make it for him when we were kids. Eventually, my uncle says, "You're going to burn in hell with that slut!" And my brother broke his silence and responded with, "Well, if I do go to hell, I'll be sure to bring you a cup of tea." As soon as he said this, I coughed out my food and started laughing uncontrollably. But things escalated quickly as my uncle got really offended and started shouting, and his son started threatening my brother. So I defended my brother and basically said both my uncle and his son can go F themselves. My brother and I left soon after without finishing the food. My cousins left angry messages calling us a-holes and nasty things. I just thought it was a funny joke and defended my brother from getting ganged on. So am I or my brother really the a-hole here? Considering your uncle liked to be antagonistic, or that's what I'm getting from this, no, your uncle and his son are the assholes because they were clearly trying to stir drama where drama wasn't at, and where drama didn't need to be. The dinner table of all fucking places. And to be honest, I think that comeback was pretty good. Alright, that's enough stories for the day. Well, that wraps up this episode of Am I the Asshole? If you liked the video, please drop a like, share my content on all of your social media, subscribe if you haven't already, and make sure to hit that bell so you're notified every time I upload, and drop a comment down below. It really helps with the algorithm and helps new people find my channel. Thanks for watching, thanks to my patrons and super thanks contributors. Have a great day and stay safe out there.